Let's build this automated employee attendance tracker in Excel. Users can select any month and year, track attendance with drop-down menus, automatically count absences and attendance percentage, and we will make two versions of this, depending on if you need the weekends or not. The statuses are only placeholders, so you can choose any that you want, and you can even use the same system for events or something like classes. And now let's start. So as always, we start with an empty workbook. I like to add this background color. You can also change any font that you like. And in my case, I like to make the first column a buffer column and make the column width of it 1. So we will just add our year in the cell B2 and our months in the cell B3. And then I can start with the headers. I need employee, percentage, and then I will have 5 statuses: present, late, absent, sick leave, and vacation. As a placeholder, we'll just add some employee name and let's just count the percentage. So we want to add the present days and the late days, and then divide them by present plus late plus absent, right? Because we do not want to count the sick leave and vacation days to our percentages. So we do get this divided by 0 error. So for that, we will just add the if error function on top of it. And then if we have an error, we want to have just an empty cell, right? This works well when we don't have any numbers yet. So for the first date, we can just use the date function. And then we obviously have our year in B2 and we have our months in B3. So we will just only add 1 for the first of the months, and this is basically it. So this will work for everyone who just wants to have the dates for the whole months and who doesn't care about any weekends or anything like that. So now we want basically to have automatically our whole months, right? We do not want to enter the dates each month. So for that, we can just add 1 day to the day before, right? The only thing is we need to double check if this is still the same months or not, because we do not want to have the days for August. In this case, we want it to stop automatically. So what we do is we check if the months of the cell before, of the date of the cell before, plus the next date. This is why I have I4, which is basically the first of the months plus 1, which will be the next day. If the months of that date still equals the months from B3, and I have to fix this because we want to extend this formula, right? So if it's still the same months, then I can continue. And then obviously my value would be I4 plus 1. And if it's not, I just want to have an empty cell. And then I can just extend this formula for the whole months. Now we can see that the month ends in AM. And if I were to extend it, I get this value error because basically you can't check the months of the cell that is empty, right? So let me just make the columns a little bit bigger so that we can see that, yes, it did work. I have all the dates, and that if I were to change the months, that everything updates automatically. So what we do is we use our if error formula again. So basically, if we have an error, we just want an empty day, right? Because obviously June, July, February, they all have different amount of days, so we do not want to have this error of value displayed, but we still want the months to update automatically. So now if I change it to July, I see everything updates and works correctly. And now the version for those of you who only need the work days. So for that, we have this workday intel function. And as you can see, the first thing we add is the start date. We can use our date function again and then choose our year and months and then just add 1 at the first day of the month. However, this will be the starting date to which we then add days. So we do want to start the date before. That's why -1. And then we add a day each time. That's why I type 1 again. And then we can specify which days are our weekends. So in my case, I add 5 times 0 and then 1 for Saturday and Sunday. However, you can add the ones anywhere that you want. If you have, let's say, Monday free, then it would have been 1, then 5 zeros, then 1 again. And I obviously have to change all the other days formula too. The idea is the same, right? I still want to have my if error if something were to happen. And the only difference is that I only want to add work days again. So I basically delete the I4 plus 1 and then type workday and then pick the I4 and add 1 day to it. And then again, add my 5 zeros and 1. I can now pick other months and see if it works. Let's work on the formatting for a little bit. I will just add the white background to this table. However, I also want to add the gray background to the columns where I will have my formulas. Now I can also add some borders, and we can change the header background to this teal and then maybe center it, make it bold, and we also need a white font here. Let's make the columns a bit bigger again so we can read it. And let's do the same for the year and the months. Green, center, bold, white. Now let's change the formatting of our header maybe to something a bit more readable. For that, I highlight the whole date row, and then I'll just pick this formatting, but you can pick whichever you like. You can just keep the days, right? We don't need the months. We already know which months it is. And now because I need less space for that, I can obviously make the columns smaller. For my dropdowns, I can now highlight every single cell between my rows 5 and 30, and then go to data, data validation, and then pick list, and then highlight those 5 statuses. So now every time I write something else inside of this column name, I will automatically update the drop downs, so I would not need to change this anymore. Now obviously it's not readable again, so let's make the font a bit smaller. I think sick leave is like my biggest, so I will just make column widths the same widths I need for me to be able to write sick leave. Let's count the present days next. So for that, we need if B5 is not empty, because we do not want to have zeros every time, right? So this is why I added. Then we want to count if, and then I pick range, my whole months row. And the value that I'm going to search for is basically the name of the column. So now I want to fix the range, but not the row, because I do want to extend it. So what I want to fix is the columns. I want to fix the row of the name of my status, and I want to fix the column of my employee name. And this way I can just extend the formula for not only every single status, but also for every single potential employee, because I fixed the values that are not going to be changed. Like this, I've noticed an error that I've made, so I forgot to add the bracket. So now we can see if I were to add Maria and she was present, we see that everything adds up, and if she were absent now, right, everything calculates correctly. So for the formatting, we can't really format it as it is because we will have different amount of months every time. First things first, what we do is we want to have color-coded status. So if our cell I5, because I start my range in I5, here you would need to add the number of the cell where you start, equals to, and here I can either type present, but if I want it to change every time I change the status, I need to select the cell where the present is present. And I will just add the color green as my font. And if I press apply, I see yes, it works. Now I can just duplicate it. And for this, I only need to change my my D to E. And then obviously the background color, because for present I had green, so for late I want to have yellow, then duplicate it again and change the E to F. For absent, I want to have red, and then duplicate it again. And then for F, we need a G. And for sick leave, I just want to pick this color. However, you can pick any color that you like. And now the last one would be our vacation. So again, G to H. And I have picked this light blue color. We see that we now have our color formatting, and we need our header formatting next. So for that, I highlight the whole row and add a new formula. So what we want to do is we want to check if our cell is empty or not. So we will just enter, because we start in I4, so if our I4 empty or not, this is it. This is the whole formula, and if it is not empty, then we want to color format it. And if not, we will just want to keep it with this green background color. So I choose again this teal and then the white bold color, as I always do with my headers. So now we can obviously center it, and we do something similar to the regular cells. Here we can't check if the cell is empty or not. We will be checking if there is date or not. So which means we kind of have to stick to our row 4, which has the dates in it. So what we do is we check if I4 was $sign before 4 is empty or not. We will be only checking if the date is empty or not, and then we want to have the borders, we want to have our white background color. And you can see that basically the whole table appears, and if I were to change to another month right now, and as we can see, everything updated correctly. However, we have this issue with the 2nd of March. This is unfortunately because I was checking if the months of I4 plus 1 is the same, but I needed to check if the months of the workday is the same or not, right? Because there is a difference. The 28th of February is the same month, but it's not a work day. This is why we have this issue. So not I4 plus 1, but we just copy paste this work day until I4 1 and then zeros with ones instead of I4 plus 1. Just copy paste the same formula, and then obviously we need to extend the formula for the whole row, and now everything works correctly. Sorry about that, forgot about it. So now we will ask why doesn't the color formatting suddenly work. Is because it has basically this order of fulfillment. So for that we need to put the white background as the last one. So we want our colors to execute firsthand, to be executed firsthand, and only then the white background. This way it works. So now only the formatting is left, and I will just move the months. You don't need to. I just like how it looks more visually. Then you can make the row heights a bit bigger or smaller, whatever you need. Maybe make the row height of your header larger. Let's also double check how it works. If we were to add new statuses or things like that, or if we were to change the months, if everything updates or not. And this is basically it. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more Excel templates and productivity tools. And let me know in the comments what template you'd like to see next. Project trackers, HR dashboards, finance tools, planners, or something completely different. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Goodbye.